All right. Before I do anything, there we go. So, getting the interviews back in. I haven't done an interview right on this channel since Jesus. When's the last time I done an interview on this channel? Probably back at the back end of November. I think I had Jay Harris and Maxie Hughes on, but we're trying something a little bit different this time, right? So, I'm going to be interviewing a newly turned. All right, 11 people in the building. Happy days. So, I'm going to be interviewing a newly turned pro. Right, her name. It's a she. It's the first woman I've ever had in this channel, right? So it's a female fighter. Raven Chapman is her name. We're just waiting for her to get in the building. I will be asking her a few questions on this. So we'll see who's in the chat at this minute. Yo, shout out to yeah, I'm not used to using this on my phone as well, so bear with me on that. All right, you gotta bear with me on that as it comes along. I'm not too used to using this on my phone. So that's the plan anyway. We just wait and get a few people in the building. We need to really see how this goes. If you give me 2 secs. Yeah, apologies. I had to make sure everything was working fine. And let's bring on. Boom. How are we? How are
Hello,
you?
I'm good. How are you?
What's up? Good. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for
That's
coming
all
on.
right, anytime.
Literally the first female I've ever interviewed on the channel. So I've had a couple of
Really
guys.
good
Yeah,
one.
that's an achievement. You're
That's
up there
it.
with the likes of Jay Harris and Maxie Hughes, right?
Look at that.
So
Look at
you
that.
have
Straight
some.
in there.
Well, both those guys are quite small. Like Maxie, like I think Jay Harris is a flyweight. So I was going to say you got big shoes, but I say his feet are like baby feet at this stage
I
because
mean,
he's
they're
only a
probably still
flyweight.
bigger than mine.
We need to let the people know about. Like I know you've been on Ring IQ stream. You've been on a few channels.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. You've not even made your pro debut yet, right? And you've
Uh,
already been on like IFL. You've been on Ring IQ. You've been on a few.
yeah.
So now you're on mine. So that's that achievement.
I'm keeping it going, keeping the interview process going until I get that debut, and then here
How
I come.
are how are we looking at the debut? So like realistically, like you're signed with Steffi Ball, right? So
Yeah.
you turn pro, and obviously it's not as straightforward as it used to be. I mean, like if you would turn pro like 2019, there's a lot of small house shows, there's a lot of
Yeah.
places where he could get you out of there. Right now,
Yeah.
it's a bit kind of you kind of take what you can get.
Yeah.
So how are we looking at the pro debut? Because for those who don't know, you were a featherweight as an amateur, and you're
Yeah.
also going to be campaigning a featherweight as a pro.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's an interesting little division because Rama Ali's just turned pro. You have is it Ellie Scottney? Is that her name?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's like a few names like in the hat there that you're in with. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting one. It's interesting, and obviously you're gym mates with Terry Harper, who's the weight
Yeah.
division above.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Has he put in any words with I'm not gonna name names, but has he put in any words with a certain fast car by any chance or anything like that?
Well, I'll see what Steffi can do, but we're hoping to get out in summertime. So I am still waiting on the boxing board at the moment to get my license because I only put it in January, and they weren't doing any interviews. But I had a phone call with them last week, and they're starting up April, so sometime this week, next week, and hopefully I'll be in there pretty quickly. And then from there, it could be pretty rapid until I do get my debut. So fingers
What
crossed.
is like the process? Because you were saying there you had to go with the board and go through like it's not as straightforward as obviously you have to get like probably do medicals and stuff. Like what is the process with the British Boxing Board? Because I know over here it's reasonably straightforward.
Yeah,
Here's your amateur record, bit of brain scan, and you're
yeah,
good to go, kind of.
it's basically the same. It's pretty straightforward, but it's you've got to fill the form out, send it off, your passport and your amateur record and that. And then they'll invite you in for an interview, and I guess they'll drill me a little bit, ask me questions, make sure I can actually box and I'm not just making it up.
That is crazy that they interview fighters. Like I'm just thinking in my head, right? I just think you can picture like these journeymen who would know amateur fights. Like what do you want to turn pro for? I want to get knocked out. Simple as let me have my license.
Yeah, I want to make some money.
I want to get knocked out and fuck off. But that is true. Like literally, when I think about it, like the journeyman with like no wins, 20 losses, it'd be like, yeah. So why are you turning pro?
Yeah.
Because fuck it, getting punched in the face is better than 9 to 5. Yeah, it's better than working a 9 to 5
Yeah.
job for someone I don't like. At least this way
Yeah, exactly. At least
I
you're
get
working for
paid.
yourself. Yeah, you're getting paid to do something you do enjoy.
I wonder if they're that honest. Would they be that
Oh,
honest with them?
I'm not
Probably be like,
sure.
yeah, I think I can be a world champion. Definitely, yeah. Me with my no amateur fights. I'm 36 years old, but sure,
It
stranger
might
things
be
have
a bit of a
happened.
giveaway. All
Yeah.
their experience, though.
There should be like stranger things have happened, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
But no, obviously, like you were saying, like as well, you're hoping to get your debut out in the summer. You know, why don't you tell people,
Yeah.
as an amateur, you were on the Team GB squad?
Yeah.
I know, obviously, the Olympics been pushed back. Was there ever any temptation to stay amateur with, you know, still not 100% sure what's happened with the Olympics this year?
Yeah.
Was there ever any temptation to stay and try and get that, or was turning pro the ultimate goal anyway, irrespective of how good you were as an amateur?
Yeah, definitely. Turning pro was the ultimate goal for me. I think because my style is much more pro style, so I've been told, than the amateur style. But for me as well, like I'm not spring chicken anymore. So to wait another 4 years, you know, I'd be in my 30s by then, and it's a
Oh,
bit like,
jeez. That's
I,
I'd be in my 30s in 3 years, so that's not good. That's even
yeah.
worse.
So it's like, and women's boxing at the moment is really starting to pick up. And with Steffi, I just got that opportunity, and I thought I'll take up this opportunity now because I feel ready. I feel like it's time for me, and I also feel like I want to change something, and I was ready for a change. I was starting to feel a little bit stale in the amateurs and not enjoying it as much. So the opportunity came for me at the right time, and now I'm really excited.
I think that's what happens to a lot of boxers, male and female. They spend so much time wanting to do something in the amateurs, they get sick of it. But it's a
Yeah,
catch-22. If they do something great, but the longer they're there, the more amateurish they get when they turn
yeah,
pro, and the more chance they have of, like as you said, I wait an extra 4 years. Like now I've only got like so many years to do something. Whereas
yeah,
now I can, I can enjoy
yeah,
myself. I can really, take my time and
yeah,
get the right fights.
definitely. And that's what I've been doing at the minute. Even though it's taken a while until the board's been open and I can get the interview, it's been a really good time to test the water with a few things. Obviously, I've been part of a few of Terry's training camps anyway, so I've got a bit of an idea of what a pro camp's like, compared to normal, in terms of making weight and how to do it, how long to do it for, what kind of sessions you do. But that's obviously been Terry's camp, not mine. So we've done like a makeshift fight camp, if you like, sort of for 8 weeks, just to see what works for me and what doesn't work. So we've been able to tick off a few boxes. So when I do get the date for my debut, we know a little bit more what to do with me and how my body reacts to certain things and what works well and what doesn't work well. So we'll avoid that and we'll stick with that. And also, I've been able to train with my coach on really just being myself when I'm boxing, like really working on my strengths, making them even better, and I can feel the difference. I feel like my game's changed so much already in the last couple of months because we've just been able to fully focus on that. And I think had the delays not have happened, I probably wouldn't have gone into my debut quite as knowledgeable as I hopefully will be now.
I think that's like the catch-22 for certain people. Like the fact that some people have wanted to turn pro earlier, but they've had to just wait around. But it's given
Yeah,
them a chance to basically just test the water, get used to
yeah,
what the pro style is, right? Because a lot of people would just, decide right now, 1st of January 2020, I'm going to turn pro, end of. And they're kind of a bit all over the place.
yeah,
Whereas you've been able to have the benefit of being like, right, I'm in these pro camps, I'm with my trainer, I'm getting
yeah.
the sense of it. Have you been training like specifically 2 minutes, or have you been keeping it at three? Because I know in the amateurs you do 3 minutes, but obviously it's a bit bizarre that
Yeah,
they make you do two
yeah,
minutes, which is crazy. Because
very strange.
I was only saying on a stream on Sunday, and this was about just boxing in general, that like novice boxing is 2 minute rounds in the
Yeah,
amateurs.
yeah,
So that's a bit weird. Like the fact that
yeah,
they bring you up to 3 minutes, and
yeah,
then
and
you're
then,
thinking, right, I'm turning pro, and then
yeah,
they're back down to two. It's
yeah.
like, why?
It
It
has
doesn't
been
make sense.
strange getting used to the 2 minutes because it's just over in a flash, and it's
Mm.
like you're just starting to get into your groove in the rounds, and then the bell goes, and it's kind of like you've got to start all over again the next round of working on your setups, working on this plan, that plan. So that's the weirdest thing. The 2 minutes just goes so quickly.
I know, and you don't tend to get as many knockouts. Because I remember Katie Taylor in her last fight. It seemed like whenever she was on the verge of really, putting on her opponent and getting out of there, she'd have to reset. And by
Yeah.
then, like 20 seconds had gone, oh, the round's over.
Yeah.
And you just think to yourself, like, if that was 3 minutes, that wouldn't have gotten to the point. It would have been over probably midway.
Yeah, 100%. I think it would be very different with the 3 minutes because I don't know, you see it quite a few times, especially in the ones they've televised recently. In that 2 minutes, someone might be a little bit hurt or lagging or something, but then the bell's gone, and it's almost like, oh, they're saved by the bell. But with that extra minute, it would really expose different fighters, but also wouldn't allow for the sloppiness. Like, you'd have to really work on techniques to last the round properly. It would stop you rushing everything. I think sometimes, I'm not saying it's sloppy, but because it's 2 minutes, you almost feel like, oh, I've only got 2 minutes, like just go and punch.
Yeah,
whereas
like that.
3 minutes, you get a bit longer to really think about what you're doing, set things up, and work towards something that little bit more.
You see, yeah, that's what I was always told, because obviously when I started out amateur, I used to say to my coach, like, oh, well, I just take it slow. And he's like, you've got 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You do not take it slow. You take it slow, you've lost that round. And it's this three rounder. So it's kind of the same for you guys, because it's like, you think about it, like, you can't really, like, if you decide to go out for the first minute, you take a look and I won't do much, and they've thrown 10 shots, they've already outworked you for the round, and you're probably already on the back foot for the remainder. And it's like, that's why I kind of would prefer the 3 minutes. I don't know why you don't have the 3 minutes at this stage, because you see more knockouts, and it would, as you say yourself, there's so much need to get so much into a short space of time that, as you say, you do look a bit sloppy from time to time. Whereas if you had that extra bit of time, it could be like, right, now I'm going to set, now I'm going to be able to fight at this pace. Exactly.
Yeah, you can really see the skill set and actually see how a boxer thinks. Every boxer thinks differently in there. It's like a game of chess. I love comparing boxing to chess because it's a thinking game.
Yes.
And you really see how different people think when they're in a boxing ring with that extra time. But the 2 minutes, it goes by too quickly.
I know, and that's the thing. When you watch a female fight, it's like, it's done. Like, you start, you see the clock at 2 minutes, and you're like, a minute left.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's quick.
And I find it like interesting when people say, "Oh no, like keep it at 2s," because you really like see the pace. But with men, you'd never see anyone asking for men to go to 2s to see them pushing it. I don't understand why people think we can't do that in 3 minutes as well.
You can just picture someone like Anthony Joshua in a 2-minute round. Like, if he tried to even throw too many punches, he'd be gone for about the next 5.
Like that kind of style, but like you say, like, you just wouldn't ask the men to do that. So I don't see why we shouldn't do 3 minutes as well.
It is something that, like, a lot of I know Frank Warren, when he had Nicola Adams back at the start of her career, she was in a few 3-minute rounds. I don't know exactly why it's not, to be honest with you, because it seems like a bit of a no-brainer to me. Like, if you want,
it's one of those things, isn't it? It's only getting bigger now anyway, women's boxing. So who knows, in a year, 2 years time, they will change it to 3 minutes. I think that will be where it goes eventually.
I have to agree with you on that. I think that's likely where it's going to be going. Question I have now is, how exactly did you get into the sport of boxing? Right, because I always find that it's weird. Like, with me, I got into it just from watching, not even watching fight, just watching funny clips of Muhammad Ali. That's how I got into it. I always find it weird when you hear people's story. Like, what was it that got you into boxing yourself?
I grew up around my dad. Well, my dad brought me up, so he was big into martial arts, boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing. So I used to have to go down to some of his training sessions when I was younger, if you couldn't get a babysitter, things like that. And so I was always around it. He'd always get the pads out. We'd have a little play. And I was very sporty as a kid. Like, I loved running, and I played football and all of that sort of stuff. And then I just decided to join the local boxing club when I was sort of a late teen, because the coach saw me in a session and said, "Oh, you've got something, come down." So I thought I'd give it a go. But obviously at that age, none of my friends did it. I wanted to go out at the same time, and I don't think I really put everything into it at that age. It wasn't until I sort of got into my 20s where I thought, you know what, it's the only thing I've ever really stuck with and carried on doing, and I actually really enjoy it. I quite like punching things. It's a really good outlet, so I'm quite full of energy. So it was a good outlet for me to burn off energy and doing something I enjoy. And like I say, it's one of the only things I'd really stuck with. So I decided to just really give it a go and give it a shot. And yeah, here I am.
That's crazy. It's crazy the way like it seems like daughters tend to take after their dad more, because like
Yeah.
I'm in a similar situation. I was raised by my mom, but
Okay.
like everything she likes, I don't like.
Yeah.
So like she hates boxing, but yeah,
Oh,
I love it. So it's like I'm
yeah.
the polar opposite. Like if we
Yeah.
met, it'd be like you are nothing to like. But I think it must be
Oh
a daddy
God.
daughter thing.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm literally like, oh yeah, you know that's your daughter. Yeah. I'd take after my dad for sure.
If it wasn't for boxing, what would you be doing?
Oh,
Hey, there's a good one. There's a good question. I
it's
always get
like
that. If it wasn't for boxing, what would you be doing?
my grandma always says I'd have been a really good footballer. She's convinced I'd have played for England. I'm not sure. I was pretty good. I'm just very competitive, I think, and naturally sort of aggressive in sports. So when it comes to things like that, so I think I'd do something fairly active. Yeah, maybe football, maybe rugby. That I couldn't sit somewhere and sit in an office and do an office job. That's
Yes.
like I say, for me, because I have so much energy, like I need to train 2-3 times a day, so I sleep at night. Otherwise, I can't get to sleep. So I'd have to be doing something active or some sort of outdoor activities, sort of something. I like being outdoors.
Didn't you go for a sponsorship and end up with like, was it a bricklaying job or something
Yeah,
like that?
yeah,
It's very rare like that someone goes to actually be sponsored and
I
you end
know.
up working for that company. Normally it's the way. Normally they pay you to train and not be like, yeah, well, instead
No,
of like us giving you money to do nothing, you do this.
yeah, because I knew I was obviously leaving GB, so I started approaching people, and I got it like through a friend. They knew this company, and just had a meeting with them, and it was all just sponsorship to begin with. And then I did this promo video, and they really wanted to get a video of me on the brick machine. It's a because it's really quite tough. Like it's hard work, and the guy who owns it, Jim, he was just saying it'll be really good for strength. You know, you can always use it as a little bit of your strength training if you want. But they were so impressed with me on the brick machine. They said, "Oh, if you want to actually do it, you can." So I was like, "Yeah, why not?" I really quite enjoyed it, and I think for things like for grip strength, for arm strength, it would help general strength, strengthening up my arms and my hands, my wrists, my grip. So yeah, I do a few shifts down there every week now.
That is crazy. It's just like I said.
On the side.
And how much training like are you doing now at the minute? Like are you, I don't want to say fully in camp because obviously you said yourself you don't know when your fight date is, but is it just kind of ticking over, or are you still like fully intending on, getting as much training as you can in with your coach just to get you ready for that?
Yeah.
Or if the phone rings or anything like that, because I know a lot of fighters say that it's like, well, I wish I'd have been, in a bit of better shape before this fight because the phone rang.
Yeah. So I've actually just finished my 8 weeks. So I've been given a rest day today and tomorrow. And I would have had a bit more time off, but I'm now going up to Spa Terry Thursday for the next few weeks to do a final prep for her upcoming fight. So yeah, no time off for me.
No.
But I'm always ticking over. I'm always, fairly fit. And yeah, I love training. I love being in the gym. When I'm not in the gym, I just can't wait to get back in the gym. So for me, it's just part of my life. It's just what I live to do, and I love doing it. And I don't know, there's just something about being in that gym environment that puts me like at ease and makes me feel at home.
Chris Billham-Smith is a gym mate of yours, isn't he? Because Chris Billham-Smith is a gym mate, isn't he? Because you are from the same neck of the woods down. Because my geography of the UK is shocking. Is Bournemouth, is that near Manchester, like near where Tyson Fury is? No. Okay, fair enough.
No, so Bournemouth's like south coast, southwest coast.
Close enough, so yeah, like
South. know of.
Yeah, well, like as I said, like I think one of the things that I'm definitely not good at is geography. I always thought Bournemouth was like, that's near Manchester, isn't it?
Yeah, no, not
But
at all.
he is starting to become a bit of a name now down there as well. So is there any chance that if Eddie Hearn puts on a show, he might be able to put your name in the hat in there?
Oh, definitely. We've always already had like a little bit of banter about that when I said I was turning over. It was like, yeah, big Bournemouth show coming up, but that'd be wicked. I'm not living in Bournemouth anymore, but that's where my sort of my heart is for my boxing. My old boxing club arena. So yeah, if I could go back to Bournemouth and box on a big matchroom show there with Chris, that'd be wicked.
I suppose it's going to be weird, like because you say yourself you're hoping to make your debut in the summer,
Yeah,
and it's going to be weird because you may or may not have fans there.
yeah,
Like I would imagine that maybe not having fans at your pro debut might be like just if you're nervous, you're not having to like worry about people in the
yeah,
crowd. Would you rather it with fans or without? If say you get called to fight in May and if they're still doing it behind closed doors, would you
yeah.
prefer like for the first like occasion fans there or not fans there?
It's hard to say. Obviously, with where I've boxed in the amateurs, it can be pretty dead. Some places that you go, the only people that are there are the people in your team or the other countries. So it's hard to say whether I'd be used to that, but there's something about the energy of a crowd, especially if you've got people there to support you, that really does help if you're starting to struggle or you're feeling a bit tired or something. Just that energy can help. So I'm not sure how it will be. I don't know if it would make me more nervous or more like less
Yeah,
pressure. I'm not sure. I'll have to see when the time comes.
because I remember I asked Jay Harris that, and he said actually like he thought it would be fine
Mhm.
until he got there, and he was like,
Yeah,
it was worse than being in the
yeah,
gym. It was worse
yeah.
than anything
Yeah,
because
because I've heard it's like it's not just silent; it can be like deadly silent, like really.
yeah,
And that's a bit more like everything's just on you. Then I suppose.
he said like the music plays and then it's just empty. And it's
Yeah,
just like what the fuck.
really strange. Yeah, so I don't know. I think there's something about energy that a crowd gives, though. That
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it might make you feel more nervous at the time, but it can give you that adrenaline that just helps you through the fight.
Okay, so I want to know now, Raven Chapman in two sporting questions I have for you now. So
Yeah.
in the sport of boxing, right?
Mm.
I want to know male and female, right? Your favorite fighters in both.
Okay. Favorite fighters. So the other on the Ring IQ one is like pound for pound, and I was like, oh, I don't know. I'll just say the ones I like.
Nah, we'll just stick to the ones we like.
Yeah. So female, obviously, I'll go Terry Harper, Savannah Marshall. Um, who have I got? Clarissa Shields, Katie Taylor, obviously.
Has to be Katie Taylor.
Yeah. And Chantel Cameron.
Yeah, good shouts. In terms of Katie Taylor and Natasha Jonas,
Mm-hmm.
that's a rematch from London 2012. What do you think of
Yeah.
that fight? Because that kind of caught me by surprise because I knew Katie Taylor probably be on that card, but when I saw Natasha Jonas, I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
really,
So
that kind of.
I'd heard before it was announced that was what was going to be happening. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great fight. I mean, her fight with Terry, she I think she was overlooked a lot, and I think that made her really bring it even more. So I think she's going to bring that same energy to the next fight with Katie. She wants to win. She isn't going to be going there to be a punch bag for Katie. She wants the belt. So I think it's going to be a really electric fight.
And I think that the Harper fight, the fight she had with Terry, which was last summer during fight camp,
Mm-hmm.
I actually remember watching that. That was kind of one of the fights that really got me. Like I was already kind of, watching female fighting, here and
Yeah.
there. But when I watched that, I was just like, holy shit,
Wow.
this was a good fight. I was like,
Fight.
that was
Yeah.
a really good fight.
Yeah. Yeah. Great fight. Great showcase from both boxers. And I think everyone thought it was going to be really easy for Terry. I mean, I think even I thought it was going to be easy for Terry. And so when it exploded, it was like, wow, we've got a fight on our hands. This is really good good watching and great for women's boxing. And this is what the sport needs, fights like that.
I think because they had a common opponent in Vivian Ivanov. I know Terry beat her and Natasha Jonas got stopped by her. I think they were saying, oh, well, based off of that, it's obviously going to be one way.
Yeah.
And then it's just the kind of shock. Because I remember looking, I was thinking, this could go either way, this fight. Like, I think maybe a draw would have been the fairest, but I think it was
I think it was fair, and I know Terry and Steffi, they learned a lot from that. They'd have taken a lot more away from that than if they just got the win. So I think it was a great fight for both fights.
It definitely was. In terms of the males, who are your favorite male fighters?
Canelo.
Yeah.
Lomachenko, Lopez, and AJ.
Okay, so fights that are up and coming, right? I got to ask you now, this weekend, for example, Frampton Heron. Who do you have in that fight?
Frampton.
Really? I'm the opposite. I think Heron's going to take that.
Okay. I like Frampton.
He is a good fighter. I just think that just from styles, I'm thinking Heron's going to take that on points.
Yeah.
If it happens, right, and it's an if because we don't know, AJ Fury, who do you have in that fight?
So I've been saying AJ. That's who that one. Yeah. I think he's got that extra bit of power. He's been working on different stuff, which I think is working for him really well. And it's hard. So I love both fighters. But for me, there's just something. AJ's got a little something that I think he's going to be able to bring out in that fight. But we'll see what happens. Again, it's another 50-50 one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been in the gym with both them fighters, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you're actually able to say, like, I've seen Tyson in this sense, I've seen that. So you're probably a bit more qualified than like me and most to be able to say, because we just see him on TV and we're like, definitely this win.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been in the gym with Fury once. I know AJ a lot better, obviously being at GB. He's up there a lot, so I've seen him in the gym a lot more. And I know his trainers, and I have belief in those trainers as well. So I suppose it's just a bit more closer to home for me with AJ, and I know him. But Fury, for a guy that size, wow, he can move. He can move. I think, and he's like 6'9", giant, like bouncing around the ring, like effortless gliding. So
he's got about 10 inches on me, and like my feet look like they've got concrete underneath them when I'm in the ring compared to him.
Crazy. But I think hopefully it should be a good fight. They're both going to come in to win. So hopefully they bring that into the ring with them, that kind of exciting fight that everyone wants to see. Because the only thing is, like, a lot of the times with fight like these where everyone's so much anticipating, that been really disappointing. So I think it's like almost like if you don't expect much, it's amazing, but then you expect so much, it never quite lives up to that expectation. So this could potentially be a fight that's like that. Like the Mayweather Pacquiao fight. Everyone so excited to watch that, and then it wasn't a thriller. So
I think the good thing about this is that they both have vulnerabilities. Where Mayweather Pacquiao was kind of like, both were at the peak of the game, both were like and both we kind of knew what we were going to get. But with this, we're just like, but AJ, has he recovered from this? His Fury's in activity. So I think for me, this doesn't have the recipe to be a stinker. Either way, we're going to have moments of drama in this fight whenever we get it.
There's always excitement in the heavyweights as well.
Exactly. One punch can change it all, is what they say.
That's it.
In terms of just sporting heroes in general outside of boxing, who are Raven Chapman sporting heroes?
Well, outside of boxing.
It's outside of or in it. If you have, there's a boxer there, you can chuck it in there. You're more than welcome to. But outside of it.
So Amanda Nunes, MMA. I think she's brilliant, and obviously like Ronda Rousey as well. And actually, in terms of like, there's still boxers. Lucia Riker she's sort of was known as like the baddest woman on the planet at one point. Like she's, I think, you know, again, and just another pioneer for women's boxing and women's sport. And I think she's a great sort of role model. So I really like look up to her. But yeah.
The funny thing is, Amanda Nunes and Ronda Rousey, they were like the two people who, like, I'm not a big UFC fan. I barely watch it. But even when McGregor was in his prime, I would sooner watch, at the time Ronda Rousey was still in the prime, I would sooner watch them than Conor McGregor at the time because they were so entertaining.
Yeah.
And Amanda Nunes, I mean, like, she one round job of Ronda Rousey. She was the underdog against Chris Cyborg, and she just goes from strength to strength.
Yeah, that's it. And she's just getting better. Like every time I see her, she just looks better and better. So it's amazing.
I know, and that's the quality of what's in the UFC as well. And you wonder if someone like Amanda Nunes turned over to boxing, how she'd be. Because, like, remember Holly Holmes was a boxer turned UFC.
Yeah, because and Nunes isn't necessarily a striker as her first combat sport. So to see how good she is at striking, it's crazy to think how she could do in the boxing, really.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's, like, as you said, she's not a natural striker. So if someone actually decided, right, let's work on your striking to get you as a boxer, it's like, damn.
Crazy. Anything could happen there.
Well, I've just gone over to have her. I don't want to keep you too long because I obviously know you're busy. But I'll say thanks for coming on. And if there's anything you want to say, just to get your name out there more, obviously we know you're waiting your debut, and fingers crossed, you know, whenever that happens, I'll get you on again. Hopefully after we can just talk about that. But is there anything you want to give to the people in the chat? Because there's been a good few in the chat so far, and I've just been ignoring their questions actually.
Well, thanks for having me on. Just keep an eye out for that debut. Hopefully it'll be on May time. Just want to give a shout out to my sponsors at HG Matthews and Rush Electrics.
Big up to those guys.
But yeah, just keep your eyes peeled. It's going to be explosive. Me and them little 8-ounce gloves, I don't see the fights going all the way.
One last question, actually, because you said gloves there. I've always been someone who buys a lot of gloves. What gloves do you use? I love boxing gloves.
So hopefully I'll be using Rivals.
Rival, really?
Yeah.
Never liked them.
Really?
Never liked Rival. I like Fly gloves.
They're my favourite sparring gloves.
Really?
Yeah.
Every time I put a pair of Rival gloves on in the gym, I was like, they don't feel right on my hand. But I put a pair of Fly gloves on, I'm like, these are perfect. Love me some Fly gloves.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone's different. I like the Rivals.
The RX Guerrero, is it?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, they're nice gloves.
They're puncher's gloves, actually. I think because the Fly is more just foam.
Yeah.
And my hands are brittle as anything. That's probably why I like them.
Yeah. That's probably why I like the Rivals. So I like to feel what I'm hitting.
No, on that, I gotta say, just thanks for coming on. Like I said, you are the first female I've had on. So, like, I've had the guys on, now I got you. Hopefully we get more on and we can get some more up and comers on. But for now, I'm going to leave this here. Thanks to everyone who's been in the chat. Sorry I haven't got to your comments, by the way. I'll just pop one on there anyway. Right? Oh, yeah, look at that, what they said. Raven, change your gloves. Someone even saying it in the chat. So I just clicked on that randomly, actually. So fair play. That was lucky timing. So big up to everyone. Lads and lassies, this will be up for every one of you, the full thing, now once I just finish editing it. So stay tuned for that. For now, I'll see you.